During the summer of 1993, Missouri and the upper Midwest was hit by one of the most devastating floods in their history.
The flood spanned 8 states, covered around 400 square miles, and lasted for 200 days. The devastation caused, however, lasted longer.
The Great Flood of '93 caused the Missouri and Mississippi rivers to reach major flood stages, with waters reaching over 49 feet. One of the hardest hit areas was the valley in Chesterfield, Missouri.
When the Monarch Levee in the valley failed on August 1st, the Missouri River waters flooded in.
This is the river that flooded behind me, and all of this literally underwater.
Some of the hard-hit businesses included the Old Smokehouse, as can be seen by these before and after images, as well as Petropolis.
So I'm at Petropolis, just off I-40 in the Chesterfield Valley. And behind me, on the back of this building, we have the waterline from the flood of 1993. So as a reference point, I'm 6'3", and I would still be underwater.
With all the damages and the timescale for which the flood lasted, one may wonder, how did such an event occur?
The setup for the flood was perfect. During the fall leading up to the Great Flood, Missouri and the upper Midwest saw over 100 millimeters of excess rainfall and below average temperatures. This led to above average soil moisture in the Midwest during the fall months.
With the above average soil moisture already present from the fall, the heavy snowfall during the winter months did not help the situation. The snowfall further increased soil moisture towards saturation, and with nearly saturated soil, as the days warmed, the snow melted and ran off into the rivers and streams, increasing river levels and discharge.
The unique conditions from the fall and winter months added to the devastation the rain caused in the spring. This devastation came in the form of mesoscale convective systems, or MCSs.
The atmosphere set itself up for these MCSs to occur again and again. First, an upper-level jet stream was positioned over the Midwest. Second, strong high pressure sat in the southeast. This is known as the Bermuda High. Third, consistent troughing was north of the Rockies. Finally, atmospheric rivers pumped moisture into the Midwest from the Gulf of Mexico and the tropics.
All this together caused thunderstorm after thunderstorm to occur during the spring months.
While the Midwest was developing flood conditions, in the southeast, a drought was unfolding. High pressure setting up over the southeast caused a pressure gradient to form between the southern states and the upper Midwest. Combine this with the atmospheric rivers, and you get repeated thunderstorm formation.
June and July were the wettest months, with 8 inches of rain falling by mid-June, followed by a torrent of rainfall in July. This continuous rainfall increased runoff and caused the rivers to reach record levels.
River levels of 43 feet were recorded on July 12th, and by August 1st, the rivers reached a peak of nearly 50 feet.
The National Weather Service in St. Louis was kept busy during this time, issuing over 1,000 flood warnings and monitoring rivers over flood levels.
Emergency managers as well were dealing with another set of issues, such as levees breaking and flooding communities.
Additionally, the National Guard and Coast Guard were deployed to aid with rescue and security services.
An estimated 70,500 homes were lost. Double that was the number of homes damaged.
There were power outages, food shortages due to crops being destroyed, and contaminated drinking water.
Transportation suffered. Railroad tracks and major bridges were damaged.
Only one bridge connecting St. Louis, Missouri and Davenport, Iowa was left open.
In total, there were $12 billion in property damages. The U.S. Department of Agriculture paid out nearly $3 billion in flood disaster payments, and over $3,000 per acre was spent to remove sand deposits on croplands.
The numbers speak volumes. The flood of '93 was devastating. However, the Midwest was resilient. Work started immediately on recovery efforts and, more importantly, finding ways to prevent damages if another flood were to occur.
Structural projects in Iowa cost the government $5 million, but would end up saving them nearly $12 million in property damages during the flood of 2008. Despite the damages and the billions of dollars in recovery efforts, the effects of the flood were not all bad.
It brought together the community, as volunteers flooded in from surrounding areas to aid with sandbagging, recovery, and rescue.
In such an event, the sense of community and the will to help one another goes a long way. And this event is no exception.